friends, I'm standing under the tracks here on Wabash. If you've ever walked under this structure, you've probably noticed a raft of small businesses and some of the buildings that line the street. On this tour, we're going to talk about how some of these immigrant-owned businesses have transformed the Loop's retail environment over the last century or so. We'll stop by Italian Village, the Mahlers building, IvanRuiz Tobacconist, and a few other stores. Tobacco firms have always been a popular business in and around the Loop. Today there are relatively few left. One of the survivors continues to be the IvanRuiz & Company Tobacconist. After the success of their 3-star pipe tobacco developed in the 1950s, they were fortunate enough to move into this building in 1968. Interestingly enough, it's one of the most well-known and well-regarded small buildings by Louis Sullivan in the entire city of Chicago. When they moved in 1968, they continued to adapt and transform to the times, adding a smoking room, additional humidors, and other facets of maintaining a successful tobacconist building. Currently, the building is being renovated. Originally built for the Maxwell Wallpaper Company, they are currently reconstructing the entire interior spaces along with renovating the columns. So when you come back to 19 South Wabash over the coming months and years, you'll be able to see a dramatically transformed and improved space. Next, we're going to make our way over to the Jewelers Mall. When you think about a concentration of economic activity in cities, maybe you think of a specific district. New York's garment district, a concentration of outdoor markets, maybe a series of fruit and produce establishments. There are many throughout the city of Chicago, even in an era where online retailing has cut into their business. I'm standing here in the Mahlers building at 5 South Wabash, which is one of the hearts of the jewelry industry in the city of Chicago. Across its 13 stories, visitors can find over 200 different small-scale jewelry emporia. You'll also find over 24 different traditions represented throughout the building. People from all over the world have come here, from China, the Middle East, other parts of Asia, to create a meaningful jewelry business and experience for the people who visit every day. I'm here in the Mahlers building with the Rahman family to talk a little bit about their family business and their story. Thank you for having us.
Hello, how are you?
Very well.
Thanks for interviewing us. My name is Neda Rahmanim. I am third. This is my mom and dad. This is Vahida and this is Nasser Rahmanim. We came here in 1979 from Iran, and we left our country like you would leave to go on vacation. We left everything behind. We came here with nothing, and my parents have decided to start. They went into the Persian rug business. After a few months, someone ate whatever money they brought out, and then they were left with really nothing. And my father had a friend in New York who said, I know you and I know your reputation. You're a good man. Come to New York, I will give you merchandise and I'll bring you into jewelry business. So my dad traveled to New York and he sat with this guy. He didn't know a word of English, and wrote shapes in English, but in Farsi. He wrote the gemstone names, and he wrote everything in Farsi, but the words in English, and said, here's merchandise, go sell. So he came back, and they started their adventure together. They would go door to door, asking people to see if they need anything, and little by little, they got bigger and bigger and bigger. Now we are exactly 40 years later, July 1st, tomorrow will be our 40th anniversary in business. We are a worldwide brand name. Our specialty, we're in the wholesale business, and we special in ideal cut. And they brought, my brother and I are both in the business. We have 2 locations, one in Chicago and one in New York. And now my nieces are also in the business. They go to school in Manhattan, and they just love the business so much that they came into the business as well. And we work together. That's it.
That's wonderful. And congratulations on your 40 years in business. That's really wonderful. What's exciting for you and the family to be still here in the Mahlers building after all these years?
Not a lot of people survived. We're one of the few that are still here all these years later. They worked hard and they made it happen. We had the crash in 2008, 2012. We survived internet. Not only we survived, we sell to the internet companies. So we joined the ride. Instead of complaining and saying we can't beat the internet, well, we sell to the internet and they sell to the retail. We do wholesale, we do retail, we do online, we do it basically all.
Yeah. I suppose
In this building, we had 2 fires. We had
A
flood.
gas explosion, a flood. We survived all of it, and we're still here.
And riot is a few days ago that broke everything downstairs, but still we are in a business, thank God.
Wow. Well, we're so lucky to have you and to have you here in the loop. Next, we're going to walk a few blocks away to talk about Charles Walgreen and the story of how this immigrant son transformed the drugstore business in Chicago and beyond. Friends, we're standing here at the corner of State and Randolph in the Loop. Behind me is Walgreens, and it's one of the main stores of this 8,000 store chain. Now, it has very humble roots, and they are based in the city of Chicago and the American immigrant experience. Charles Walgreen was born in Galesburg, Illinois, and apprenticed as a pharmacist in Dixon, Illinois. He later came to the south side of Chicago and worked at a pharmacy at the corner of Bowen and Cottage Grove. He purchased that store in 1901. He opened his second store in 1909. Over the coming decades, the Walgreens chain would grow by leaps and bounds. Many of the locations had soda fountains and lunch counters where people of all walks of life could sit, enjoy a meal, or have one of their famous malteds. By 1984, the Walgreens chain had grown to over 1,000 locations. Interestingly enough, that was also the year that the 1,000th store opened on Division Street in Chicago. And who was there as a spokesman of a major cosmetics company? None other than Cary Grant to help honor the occasion. Since that time, the chain has added many thousands of more stores, and it continues to be a bedrock experience for many Chicagoans and visitors as they make their way through the city and maybe to stop by, grab a bottle of water, pick up some pharmaceuticals, or maybe have one of their prepared sandwiches. Perhaps you've been to a Walgreens today. Perhaps you'll go to a Walgreens in the future. And you'll want to remember that it's part of this broader immigrant experience. Friends, next we're going to walk a few blocks away over to the Italian Village, where we'll talk about the Italian-American culinary experience in Chicago and ethnic dining in the Loop. So, do you think they're more Italian or Chinese restaurants in the United States? If you guessed Italian, you'd be wrong. They're actually more Chinese restaurants in the United States. But if we think of dining out in Chicago or anywhere else, you probably think of some variation on the Italian food that became tremendously popular in the United States after World War II. The restaurant we're in today, the Italian Village, was started in 1927 by Alfredo Capitanini, who is an immigrant from Florence. The restaurant soon distinguished itself in the Loop for its focus on Southern Italian fare, and it was not alone. By the Roaring 20s, there were over a dozen sit-down Italian-style restaurants in the Loop alone. And of course, with the movement of Italian Americans and their children and their grandchildren out around Chicago's suburbs, there continue to be more all the time. Another interesting story about this particular restaurant is it's actually comprised of 3 different restaurants. La Cantina in the bottom, Vivere behind me, and up top is the Italian Village, whose tremendously beautiful interior mirrors the sense of dining outside in an Italian village. Appropriately named, I think you'd agree. Now we're going to go upstairs, talk to the dining room manager for a little more history about the restaurant. I'm here with Joe Dininger, in the Italian Village. He's the general manager. We're going to talk to him a little bit about what makes the Italian Village such a special place. Joe, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, great to be here. Tell us a little bit about Italian Village history. How did it get started?
Well, it was started by an Italian immigrant who immigrated from Italy to Chicago named Alfredo Capitanini. He had this idea to create a village restaurant. The design of the restaurant mimics a little town in Italy where they came from. And each booth, there's lots of private booths. They're all named like the prison, the bank, the opera, the stable. So little street town with little names. And they're very special booths because lots of people want to sit in them. It's private. You know, way back when, even these booths have waiter buttons. And if you look, if I hit this waiter button here and look, booth 3 is on so that we let the people be alone. We even had curtains on these booths. So they hit this thing and people would come. It was a lovely, the opera, Civic Opera loved the place. They all came over after their performances. There's a room in the back they sat so they wouldn't be bothered. But what makes it special is, you know, we're going to be 93 years this year in September. So, and it's third generation owned. Okay, it's still owned by the Capitanini family, and we do have a fourth generation member that just started. So we've got all these years of actually guests coming in of their kids, so their generations, lots of proms, lots of special occasions, lots of theater goers. And it's just a special place because there's a ton of history here, a ton of it. All the way, the things that we've survived through up until including what we're going through now with COVID-19, but you know, we survived the Prohibition, you know, the riot, the other 68 riots here, the fires were before us, but there were other things going on in the world that this restaurant survived, and we're very lucky to be here.
Joe, before we go, tell us, first-time visitors to the village, what should they have?
Lasagna. Lasagna is a house specialty, and it's from northern Italy. It doesn't have ricotta cheese, our lasagna, never. It's a sin. We make ours with layers of meat sauce and cream sauce or bechamel cream sauce. It's cream sauce and it's meat sauce layered. You're not going to find ricotta cheese here. Just like our chicken Vesuvio, which we claim we brought over from Italy, along with our cannelloni and manicotti were the first things to be on the menu, but again, you will get chicken Vesuvio here, no peas. We don't put peas in it. It was never designed to have peas in it. So if you came in and asked for peas, we'd give it to you, but we don't like to do it. So those are some of the very top 3 signature items that we claim to fame were brought from Italy, from Alfredo Capitanini, and is on the menu. So there you have it.
Joe, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Today on this tour through the Loop, we've talked about Chicago's large and small immigrant businesses that are still an important part of this part of the city. Drugstores, tobacconists, and a couple tremendous restaurants that continue to call the Loop home. I'd like to conclude today's remarks by offering a haiku inspired by what we've seen and experienced together. Walk down the platform, small stores, big conversations. Stay windy, everyone.